Who is this guy? Okay. Yeah, I did a thing here. I got tired of fighting the gray, and so it's gone. Or as they say here, voila, it's gone. Cooking with Jerry. Stay tuned. Coming up. All right, I've been threatening to do this, so I got my inverter down there. Been threatening to make bread. So, all right, let's see how this turns out. It's been many years since I've made bread, so we're going to give this a try. Yeah, I got all my stuff. Now, the recipe calls for granulated white sugar. Yeah, they were out of it when I was at the store, so I got the wash sugar. But then there's also the possibility to bloom your yeast. You can use honey, and I just happen to have a brand new bottle here. And look at that, Kirkland. Yeah, I got it S&R. Yeah, remember the S&R, it's the Costco of the Philippines. So I should have everything I need here to get started. And yeah, I've got 2 measuring cups. One's for water, one's for my dry. Yep, because you really don't want to put flour in a wet cup. It doesn't turn out too well. Well, let's see how this works. I don't know. Cooking with Jerry, right? Okay, so I got 4 of the 6 cups of flour. I'll put 2 more in afterwards. I got my yeast in here blooming, supposedly. Yeah, it calls for 2 packets with 7 grams of yeast, and all I could find was this. Yeah, not the best, but hey, notice I cleaned my table off. No, I just pulled the tablecloth back. Working on a glass surface is much easier to clean than trying to clean that off, so I just got it pulled back. Give this about 5 minutes to see if it'll bloom. If it doesn't, then I'll have to start all over again. Blooming your yeast is the most important part, and I'm using honey instead of the sugar. Let's see how that works. If it doesn't work, I've never tried the honey, but if it doesn't work, then we'll try this washed sugar. It's only I don't know, 2 tablespoons of that. So we'll see. About 10 minutes here when the yeast either blooms or it doesn't. It's supposed to get really foamy, and it's not foaming up. I see a little bit of activity going on right there in the middle. That's probably the blooming. That's separating the honey from the milk and the water. It calls for 2 cups of water, and I used 1 cup of water, 1 cup of milk. Using milk in your bread recipes sometimes give you a little bit softer bread, so I wanted to see how that worked. You know, hey, I can always make more. I have flour. I have another bag too. So I have flour, I have all the ingredients, so we'll see how this works. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but the yeast is blooming, so we'll start in with the flour and a little bit of butter and a little bit of salt. See how this all mixes up. All right, Geronimo. I'll let the mixer do its thing here. Mix it for a couple of minutes here on low speed. It's got to mix in here, going into a ball. So use my little thingy here, my little spatula to try and get it off the edges. You want to be really careful. This thing's moving around, and take your arm off. Okay. I'll work that in just a little bit. Might need just a little bit more water. We'll see here. You cannot beat these KitchenAid stand mixers. These things are a godsend. I remember Grandma making bread, and she'd do it by hand. She didn't have one of these. Man, I'll tell you what, it'd take forever. But this right here, about another 4 or 5 minutes, and we should be just about ready to see if we can let it rise. But yeah, it stirs it up pretty good here. I will move it around here in just a second, but I can't do this with holding a camera or holding my phone, whatever, and everything. But you see how it's coming all together in a ball? It's always a good thing. So we'll see in a minute. Okay, like I said, that stand mixer is such a joy to have brought over here. You can criticize me all you want about the Balik Bion boxes, but hey, things like this, that's where it really counts. So I've got my bread in the bowl, and yeah, you can see it's got some wrinkles. You kind of grease it up a little bit. That's why I've got the Crisco here, and you can see it's got wrinkles. Don't worry about the wrinkles. As it rises, the wrinkles will go out, you know, sort of like, oh, stop it, Jerry. Okay, well, anyway. Now we cover it up and we let it rise for about 50 minutes. We'll just give it an hour, and it should double in size. Hopefully it'll be all the way up here when after it finishes rising. All right, we'll see how it turns out. So we got this covered with plastic wrap. Yeah, something else I brought over from the States, some Balik Bion boxes. But what I also like to do, I also like to cover it with a towel. Just a little extra security. That cling wrap just did not want to cling to my fingers, but not to the bowl. But okay, give it an hour and we'll see how it is. Okay, so about an hour and the dough is risen. You want to make sure that it just kind of springy. Okay, so we're going to be putting them in my bread pans. 9 by 5. Okay, I brought these from in a Balik Bion box. So yeah, now I throw a little flour here on the table. This is the reason I'm using my glass top here. It cleans off a lot easier, and it's a good flat surface to work with. So this is my other all-purpose flour, but this is the cheaper stuff, but that's okay. I mean, it still does the same job, right? So we're just throwing a little bit of flour out here because we're going to be working this dough down. Like I said, this all cleans up, so don't fear the reaper. It will clean. And one thing about baking and things like that is it falls right out. Of course, I grease this with good old Crisco. All right, so pump, boom, beat that puppy up, right? All right, let me, I've got to cut this in half, but I try and punch the dough down. It takes all the air out. Well, not all, it takes a lot of the air out. And now flip this over. Still got wrinkles. All right. Right back to you here in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to kind of flatten this out a little bit. Now I don't have what they call a bench scraper. You've probably seen them get a little handle, almost like a blade, but I do have a knife, so you're going to cut this in half. And it doesn't matter if you use a knife or a scraper. One of these days I will get one. Just haven't yet. Okay, so let's set this off the side for a minute. Stay. Okay. So I'm going to try and get this. They tell you to make 8 by 12, so I'm trying to get it close. And just push it down. Probably a little bit short. I don't know, that's probably pretty close. Then you're going to want to roll this up. So this is my ugly side. This is my better side. No, maybe not. Yeah, it's all ugly. All right, we're just going to kind of press that in here. Again, baking is not an exact science. It's basically doing what you can do. So since that's the ugly side, you're going to kind of roll this up a little bit. Well, you're going to roll it up a lot. And what this will do, this will give you some structure to your bread. Okay, now I'm going to pinch these ends in. And this is the seam side. It's down now. So you want to pinch that in. And then you're going to fold that under. take one of your bread pans, and just a little bit, okay, drop it into your greased bread pan. I'm just going to kind of spread this out just a little bit here, just fill the bottom, because we're not done with this yet, we're not ready. So, alright, so I'm going to try and get this one squared up a little bit. Again, baking is not an exact science. Everything, that's part of what makes baking so interesting, is because everything is imperfect. Let's see, I got a little bit of extra dough there. Push that down in here. I'm just gonna push this out a little bit more. Again, we're kneading the dough. We're pushing the air out basically, because with the yeast you get a lot of agitation with the air and stuff. Okay, and then we're gonna roll this up. Here's the seam. Pinch these down. You don't want them coming loose, that's why you're pinching them down. We got to rise this one more time, so let me get this in the pan. Again, we're tucking this under, and I've done with the Crisco. You could use vegetable oil, or you could even use, if you find it, the spray oil or whatever. So I'm just going to kind of do that. Now I saved my plastic wrap from when I had my bowl covered. I can just use that again for one of them, then I save myself on the plastic wrap. You can get plastic wrap here in the Philippines, but it's not some of the better quality stuff. Not like this Glad Cling Wrap, which is not cleaning. Get this other one covered up, and I'll be right back. I gotta clean this mess up too, so I'll be right back. Okay, just so everybody will know, all cleaned up. All right, now I'm going to put my tablecloth back. All right, so all cleaned up. I got these covered up. Now we're going to let these proof again for about 35 minutes, and they should get up here to the top of the pan. So I'll say good night, little guys. We'll see you in 35 minutes. All right, well, it's risen. It's almost, yeah, it's a little bit to the top of the pan. I don't know why, but yeah, for some reason this didn't rise more. So I got the oven set for 175 Celsius. The directions call for 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and convert it over to Celsius. 350 is 176.3, so it's close enough. So you've probably seen this butter sitting here. Now I used some of the butter earlier for making the dough, and just take a little bit of this. I got my paintbrush, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on here, brush it on. What this will do, this will give a nice golden brown color when it bakes. You want to use a soft bristle brush as much as possible, or as soft as possible, I should say. So we're just brushing this on. Again, all this stuff washes up, so don't be afraid to get it dirty. Yeah, some of it would go down the sides here, but you don't need a whole lot. But I try to get as much of the top covered as possible. There's other techniques too to keep your bread soft. You can put a pan of water in your oven and bake it that way. It'll keep it really moist. And there are some breads that you really want to do that with. I want to try to make some French bread. That's on my list of things to do, because I like to make spaghetti, and finding good garlic bread, well, you need French bread if you want to make really good Italian garlic bread. So
I can't find it here. I don't know. I guess nobody's ever heard of it. I don't really know, but I want to make my own. That'll be coming up pretty soon. Again, cooking with Jerry. When you're still limited on what you can do as far as physical activities, then you find something else to do. And baking has always been something that I enjoyed doing. I used to work with my grandmother and my mom when they would bake, and I really enjoyed it, because you get to eat what you create. All right, into the oven it goes. Let's see what it looks like here in about 35 minutes. Once again, I wish there was smell-o-vision. Look at those little babies. Oh, steam. Okay, back off a little bit. Yeah, okay. Let's throw a little button, pull these out and put them on the cooling rack. And let's throw a little butter on the top of them just to soften them. And let's see how it turned out. And one thing about it, these are still really light, but get that hollow sound, so they're done. So I'm going to throw a little bit of butter on there. I got some more melted butter. This time I got some buttermilk flavored, and throw that on there. Let it cool, and then we will see how it tastes. Well, there they are, my little loaves. So these are still pretty warm, but that's the best time to get it. Let's cut a chunk off of here. Yeah, very, very warm. Okay, looks pretty good on the inside. It's a little dark. Not as white as what you'd think. I've got a little butter here. It should melt in really quick. We're gonna take a taste and see if this is Jerry approved. All right. Again, like I said, it's pretty hot. Let's see. Okay, so it's delicious, but I think I could have probably gotten my yeast and the bread to rise a little bit better. So I'll work on that. I'm gonna probably make some more bread tomorrow. We'll try a little variation on things and see how it goes. That's delicious. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Cooking with Jerry. I think I'm going to have to start a cooking show or something, right? All right, guys. So for another 2 weeks, I'm kind of limited on what I can do. That was the doctor's latest prognosis 2 days ago. Sorry. Today's a Saturday. So I'm going to let that cool down a little bit more and wrap all these up. Appreciate you hanging out with me. That is really some good bread. All right, guys. Thanks. We'll catch you on the next one.